Tata mai koe ki a mātou I tēnei rā, manaaki a mātou mahi katoa I runga I te ingoa. Amen.
Thank you, Councillor Truman, and welcome back to Council. Also, we have apologies this afternoon. Apologies from Councillor Williamson, who's on international duty, moved by Councillor Christoski and seconded by Councillor Harvey. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you. Item number 1, confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary council meeting on the 27th of October.
Just before you do, Mr Chairman, could I just thank staff for including in our agendas that we do meet on the 4th Tuesday of the month. So that's now been corrected from the last Tuesday.
Thank you, Councillor Boddy. Any matters arising or corrections of those minutes, please? Councillor Cousins.
I just wanted to ask, the Turangi Community Board meetings aren't here. The minutes, aren't here. Does anybody know?
They'll be on the December meeting. We just didn't have enough time for the turnaround for this meeting.
Okay. All right. That being said, could I have a move? Thank you, Councillor Jollins. Seconded by Councillor Hickling. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Item number 2, receipt of the minutes of the Audit and Risk Committee, the FRED Committee and the Taupo Airport Committee. Any points of clarification or typos or matters arising from those minutes? Looks all pretty straightforward to me. Okay. Any questions or queries?
I'll move.
Move Councillor Hickling, seconded by Councillor Cousins. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Carried. Item number 3, summer recreational licences. Ella. Good afternoon, Ella.
So obviously this would normally go to our FRED committee, but due to the timing of applications and the meetings, it needs to come to council today. So we've had 2 applications, one which council have granted in the past 2 previous summers, the hire of jet skis at 2 Mile Bay Reserve, and a new application for walk and water balls. We were going to have Daniel Sutherland from the jet ski hire to talk to council today, but he's unable to attend. But there is a letter received from him at attachment 6, I think it is, to your agenda. And we do have Odette Hindle from the Walk on Water Ball application here today, so she can answer any questions you may have for her application.
Okay. Thanks, Ella. Then afternoon, Odette. How are you? Good. Nice to see you. Okay. Any other?
So I've just got a couple of things to highlight. I won't go through the report in too much detail. Just firstly on the jet ski hire application, as you will have seen noted in the report, we've had signage compliance issues the previous 2 summers, and so the recommendation there is to decline the application this summer. I've also had a discussion with Maritime New Zealand to issue the amusement device certification for the hire of jet skis, and the operator Daniel Sutherland hasn't complied with the condition of getting a remote radio device, and their advice has been that when his next amusement device certificate comes up for renewal at the end of next year, they won't reissue it unless if they see evidence of him purchasing that device.
So that, just a clarification, so the current operator, they don't have that device?
It's a condition of their certificate.
Right. Certificate of compliance.
They've been lenient with him so far. I guess they're going to take a harsh approach when his licence comes up for renewal next time.
Okay.
2016, October, I believe. And that's all I probably wish to highlight.
All right. Thanks, Ella. Perhaps should we deal with the walk-on water balls first?
Mr Chairman, just before you do, I have a couple of issues with what we're dealing with. Riley's been said that it's a FRED decision, and the subject has been brought up to the degree that we're not having another meeting or we can't have it. If you look at the agenda items, that starts off a Fred meeting and actually says when required. There are no set dates. And I'm a little bit concerned that the one to do with the jet ski, if I look at the gentleman's letter, 3/25, he talks of a meeting that was way back in the 7th of the 1st, 15. That's X number of months ago. Why hasn't this been brought before the Fred Committee meeting before?
If I can speak to that, it would have come to the Fred Committee meeting, but we didn't receive Daniel Sutherland's application for renewal of his licence in time to bring it to that Reserves Committee meeting, unfortunately.
So you would have deemed it as an operational thing up till then, I suppose?
Yeah, he only operated over the summer months, so his licence expired and then we've only just received an application. Does that answer your question?
Sorry. Now, could I have further clarification? If there appeared to be some difficulties in this licence being renewed, why weren't we advised way back when the problem started to arrive so we could then start to make a decision within our own minds?
If I can probably help you out there, Ella. Until you get an application for renewal, you've got no decision to make. And so until he made the application, which was past the deadline for that last Fred meeting of the year, there was no consideration for you to undertake in your governance role. So the first opportunity is now, because he's given that application. In making that decision, if you need some more information, then Ella's here to be able to answer those questions.
So would I suggest through you, Mr Chair, that if this gentleman was not fulfilling the conditions of his licence back then, even though he wasn't reapplying, should that not have been brought to our attention?
Certainly not standard procedure. So your role as governance is to approve the licences, and as staff we monitor and enforce those licences. And in this case, because of that history of non-compliance, you've got the officer recommendation there. It's now up to you as governance to decide what you do with that.
Mr Chairman, can I then very quickly follow that up with the resolution that's before us, where it actually says it's this council's preferred option not to renew, and that's also a wording used in the licence for Splash CAF, which is in the confidential part. Why are we writing the word preferred when who's preferring it? If you look at the resolution, it mentions the word preferred option.
On page...
If you look at the top of 3/1, jet ski hire, decline the application preferred option. I believe that's this council's or the Fred Committee's responsibility to work out what is their preferred course of action, not something to be attached to an agenda item.
3/3 is just the text of the item. If you go to 3/3 or 3 and 3/1, which is where the resolutions are. If you walk through 3/1 resolution 3, that's the proposed resolution from officers for you to consider, which says the council declines the application. There's no preferred, but we've also provided a or resolution that if you disagree with the officer recommendation, you may choose to approve it.
I stand by original point, Mr Chairman. It actually states when we go through and read the agenda items, something is preferred, whether that becomes the indicative resolution that we're going to pass. How do they know already that we're going to decline the application?
And again, it's the purpose of an item is for council officers to give our recommendation. Our recommendation as our preferred option is that the application be declined, hence that assessment on 3/3. Your job as governance is to decide through the resolutions which are those two that you wish to do.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. My concerns have been recorded.
I notice there's been quite a bit of email communication since, obviously, he requested the meeting, but you've had a lot of dialogue since by email anyway with the applicant. Yep. Councillor Harvey?
Can I have something clarified, please, on page 3/2, where it says under discussion? It says, should council decline the licence application, Mr Sutherland will still be able to operate his commercial activity on the lake, but will not have the benefit of the licence to trade on reserved land. So does that mean he can still buzz around?
So the decision required from council is whether we grant a licence for reserve land. We don't have any authority over the activity on the lake. So if you decline to grant the licence on reserve land, as long as Mr Sutherland has his required certificates and licences and landowner approval to operate on the lake, then he can continue to operate on the lake.
Where does he come and go from?
Timor Bay.
So even if we decline his application, what does that? Means nothing.
No, you just can't do the other trips.
But the harbour master, who's indicating that he's not complying with the radios? Yeah.
What he wouldn't be able to do is he wouldn't be able to use our reserve as part of his activities. So he wouldn't be able to set up his camp on our reserve with his signage and his other, sell the trips from there. He can still launch his jet skis into the water like any other member of the public. He pays his boat ramps fees, and as long as he complies with the harbour master regulations.
Okay, well, if we deal with the first resolution first, probably be a good thing. The walk-on water balls. Has anyone got any queries,
I'd like
questions?
to move that to...
You're happy to move part one?
Your worship.
Okay.
I think sounds a fun, great idea.
Yep.
I'll second that.
Yep. So that's been moved by Councillor Hickling, seconded by Councillor Boddy. Any other questions or queries then? This is the first one. This is the walk-on water balls.
Sounds good.
Councillor Harvey's prepared to take the first walk on water, no doubt. Because she normally walks on water anyway. It's a 1 and 2, Councillor Hickling. Just say.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
okay.
that all right?
Yeah, sorry.
So it's been moved by Councillor Hickling, second by Councillor Boddy. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. It's against? Carried. Okay, so the jet ski hire, Mr Daniel Sutherland. You've got the officer's recommendation there. Is any other questions or queries of Ella on this one?
Mr. Chairman, there is. I'd like to know breaches in regard to signage. I went to the council's website and looked up signage and just to sort of ring the office. Going through this document, some of them he had on private land. Can you just refresh us, what's the ability for a private operator to advertise a business on private land versus council car space? Where exactly did he go wrong? And I know there's a lot of dialogue over those months.
So the licence allowed him to have a small sandwich board sign, and he was parking a big billboard sign around the place where he didn't have landowner approval to do that. When he parked it on private land, it was still unfortunately in breach of the district plan rules, which have certain size limits that you can have, so that was the rule that he was in breach of.
And through you, Mr. Chairman, did he, after your approaches to him, change the operation of those signs? Did he comply?
Keep shifting them.
We gave him the benefit of the doubt and he kept shifting, but...
Scott, have you got an update on the sequence of events here, or?
As long as it's not written.
So I guess the issue here is by allowing the activity to occur on the reserve. We've got an operator now for 2 years that's pretty much ignored our rules all the way through. We've had plenty of dialogue with him, we've tried to work with him in terms of the signage. He's blatantly just ignored us to the point where we've had to pretty much either prosecute or infringe him for those signs. It was only at the very end of that process where we basically said, look, you're threatening your lease on the reserve land on the following year, that he actually started pulling his head in. And there were two issues. There was one, the fact that his signs were everywhere, but there was also all the other operators in town over that busy summer period who fully complied with the rules and were really upset that somebody was pretty much just doing as they pleased. And like I said, it was a bit of a character assessment in the fact that it wasn't until we threatened to take away his licence that he actually pulled his head at the end of it. And he knew the rules all the way through. We had multiple discussions with multiple officers that didn't actually result in any action until the very end of it.
So, Mr. Chairman, the other operators that complained, did they complain in writing or verbally to the office?
I think they phoned through service requests. And
So secondly, do you believe that if the licence was granted again, he would or would not comply?
Given his history, I'd say that we would have difficulty again.
You would or may?
We can't predict what somebody's going to do. So we've indicated to him what the rules are. He has indicated that he is willing to comply, but his history shows that he doesn't.
Just through the chair, though, to clarify, the letter that was received from Mr. Daniel Sutherland, attachment 6, which is actually dated the 8th of October, so that was quite some time ago. He says since his final warning, he has not had any compliance issues. Would that be correct?
That's because he hasn't been operating.
At all?
No.
On the reserve since January?
Yes.
I thought the licence was for longer than that, it was to March.
Basically, he pulled his signs in and then pretty much that was towards the end of summer. And he pretty much didn't operate from that point.
So he didn't operate from the end of January? Because that was when you issued the final warning.
We didn't have any issues after that.
Okay, so he did have, just to clarify then, he did have a period of operation after that where he was compliant? Because you issued the final warning on the 25th of January after a meeting with him on the 16th.
He operated last year off the top of my head until mid-February.
Yeah, but he was compliant once. What he's saying in his letter is once he was clear, regardless of whatever, he was then since then compliant.
But I also come back and say that it was quite clear to him what the rules were for the last 2 years prior to that.
But I mean, we're talking about, just to raise Mr Councillor Boddy's point earlier about the Fred Committee, this application must have been received before the 8th of October. So that was nearly 2 months ago. Just a point I'd like to make.
Councillor Park?
I'd just like to add for those councillors who weren't here in the last triennium that when we originally granted this gentleman his first licence, there were some safety concerns regarding the jet skis on trailers and reversing and whatnot and traffic movements in the 2 Mile Bay area, and there were some issues around that as well. I think the harbour master ended up moving him in the end. So yeah, I'm actually in support of the recommended resolution to decline his application this time around. There's been 2 summers of some issues. I don't want to stifle small business and operators getting out and being proactive, but I just feel that as a parent and also as council, just with ongoing issues around safety and I think flouting the signage compliance, that it should be declined this time around.
Just a point of note though, thank you through the chair, that his safety operating procedures have already been approved by the harbour masters, as were the safety operating procedures for the balls just recently, so they have been approved.
Just through the chair, like last time, like 2 summers ago, and he still didn't stick to them.
Okay.
Further clarification. If the licence is granted again, we have the ability, remember there's a Fred meeting I think in February, to pull that licence. Would that be correct?
To pull the licence, did you say?
For instance, if we renew his licence and he doesn't comply with the requirements of that licence, we can pull it at any time.
That's correct, you could.
Can we renew it just for one season, or is he requesting a longer? It's a term of 3 months.
Council only have the ability to grant a short, up to 6-month term licence for summer recreational activities along the lakefront.
So he would have to apply again next year as well. Okay.
December.
All right.
We renew it on the basis that the next infringement, it's immediately cancelled.
Okay, so I've got a mover here. We'll just canvass the idea. I'll perhaps give him one last shot.
Like if he has one more warning, then it's immediately cancelled.
I'll test the meeting, Mr Chairman. I would move number 4, that we agree to grant a licence for the period of 3 months.
So have I got a second for Anna?
Oh, sorry, Anna.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Hickling. All right.
Was to what? Not to.
Anyone else want to speak? Anyone else want to speak in favour of that?
Grant.
To decline. That's number 3.
Number 3.
Number 3. Does anyone want to speak in support of that?
Well, if it be on procedure, Mr Chairman, I can't move forward because it's a complete opposite.
Yeah, not yet, but you can talk against it.
I talk against it.
Does anyone?
Yes, through the chair. I agree with Anna, Councillor Park on that one. I just think he's had enough time, and I just don't think we should keep going back and throwing the olive branch out. I support the resolution.
Anyone else want to speak in favour?
I support the resolution.
Okay. Anyone want to speak against the resolution?
My views are no, Mr Chairman.
Yep. Anyone else? Okay, so we've got a mover and a seconder here. Councillor Moore, want to have a last say?
No.
No? Okay. Put the resolution number 3. All that have been moved by Councillor Park, seconded by Councillor Hickling. Yep. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against?
No.
No.
Yeah. So it's motion is carried. Thank you.
Could you record our votes, please? Or my
Record.
vote, please. Against.
Councillor Boddy and Councillor Jollins.
1-0.